Hello, everyone. My name's Andrew Butler, and I'm the Dean of the School of Health Professions. And welcome to another edition of SHP Insight. Today, my guest is Jim Rimmer. For over 3 decades, Jim has been a leader in rehabilitation science, and now he is the director of the UAB Lakeshore Collaborative. He joins us today via video conference for the first of a 2-part series on the collaborative and its research. Jim, thanks for joining me today. My first question, your work is very complex. How would you describe your work to the layperson?
I often describe it as being able to promote access and inclusion into all sorts of wellness and health promotion programs for people with disabilities. Primary focus of my work has been to make the built environment, programs, services, and other features of the community more accessible to people with disabilities.
Telehealth is a growing practice, and we are chatting today via a video conference. How does telehealth fit within your work?
Most people are not aware of the fact that there are over 60 million Americans with disabilities. And so to reach that very large segment of the population, we really took it through the cloud back in 1999, and we've continued to grow our presence, our footprint. All roads are going to lead to our capability to reach people in their home. And then once we're in the home, our job is to encourage them to get out and become an active member of their community.
The new research facilities at Lakeshore are phenomenal. How did they come about?
When I met with several of the board members a couple of years ago, they said to me, if all the money fell out of the sky, what would you do with it? And so very exciting conversation. I said, well, I think I'd build a new addition to the facility.
You have the new facility now, but much of the work at the facility is for people who can't physically come to Lakeshore, correct?
Well, what we've learned over the past 2-3 decades is that it's very hard for many people to leave their home for a number of reasons. So it's really not economically feasible for someone to come to a place that takes them 2 or 3 hours round trip to get there for a 30-minute nutritional wellness or exercise class. So we believe that the more we can do at home, it becomes convenient, it becomes the default. And certainly, once we get into the home, we can encourage them to get out and use those facilities in their community.
You have a lot of groups doing a lot of work. Tell us about NCHPAD first.
Scientifically, we've got a very sophisticated framework that allows us to adapt programs that have been designed for the general population for people with disabilities without losing the integrity or the fidelity of the program. Then what we do is we put out funding opportunities with funding from CDC. We give communities anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 to use that program in an existing community in their state.
Your RecTech group has been funded for 15 years or so. Tell us about the new technologies your team is building.
We're creating technologies where we want to give children and adults an equivalent, enjoyable, immersive experience, but we're doing it through things like active video gaming and developing devices that allow them to actually exercise in these virtual exercise environments that are very realistic and make the activity much more enjoyable. So, we can go on and on because we have over 20 projects that are federally funded, but I think that gives you at least a good description of just a couple of centers, the activities that we're involved in both of those centers.
Thank you, Jim. In the next SHP Insight, we go in depth with his work, including a look at the largest exercise rehabilitation study in the United States for people with MS. Turning to news around SHP, the back-to-back Gurney Derby champions from our physician assistant program are featured in the UAB Memories podcast. Visit uab.edu/memories to listen or to share your own UAB memories from the past 50 years. March 30th, we're screening a documentary called The Power to Heal that shows how Medicare was used to desegregate thousands of hospitals across the United States in a matter of months. Visit go.uab.edu/power-to-heal to reserve your seat. That's all our time today. Please be sure to join us next time for part 2 of our chat with Dr. Rimmer. In the meantime, if you have any ideas for topics or news to share, be sure to send us all the details. Thank you so much for watching SHP Insight, and go Blazers!